Start with one of those headlines. The Gauteng Education Department calling on teachers from Klipspruit not to go ahead with a threatened go-slow today. Community activists had threatened that more than 20 schools would join a go-slow in solidarity with the Klipspruit-Wes secondary school near Soweto. This follows last week's protest by parents demanding that the new black principal be replaced by a coloured principal. The department then dissolved the school's governing body. By mid-morning, teaching and learning seemed to be going on as usual at Klipspruit-Wes. Well, the department has deployed a district official to the Klipspruit-Wes school to ensure that learning continues. This, of course, following that protest where parents demanded the removal of the principal in favour of a coloured principal. The department then took its own action. Earlier, Newsroom spoke to the Gauteng Department of Education spokesperson Steve Mabona.
It's very unfortunate that organizations that we feel that they don't have a role actually in the education sector to go and who support and mobilize people to go on go slow in our schools. I mean, it's quite unfortunate because what we're saying, Klipspruit-Wes educators, they've agreed with us to say we are united, we are willing to accept the appointment of the principal. So we don't understand why will then people will want to take this matter and want more schools to be disrupted. Because we are saying, how do you disrupt a teaching and learning process? What are we saying to our future? What are we saying to our children? So we need to make sure that our children are uneducated because we want a piece probably of a resource in a school. Because the issues that are raised in a meeting that we facilitated with the communities on those structures, it was more on resources, crying foul, saying they've been alienated for many years as a coloured community, so all those issues. So we felt that they are not actually relevant to education.
So it's not a question of education in this case. You say it's a question of a community that feels excluded out of the process, call it the democratic process, if you want to call it that, what we've been. And now they're using this issue as a leverage, if we can call it that.
It's very opportunistic. I mean, why do you say you don't want a black principal and then you know, because educators are there. Whether principal is there or not, educators are there, learners are there. So why don't you allow learners to continue learning? While the process that you are unhappy with, we gave you an opportunity to listen to you. Now we say give the opportunity to MEC to peruse documentation, to satisfy himself on the process, whether there was nothing untoward, so that we come back and announce on the way forward. So why do you want now support from other schools and disrupt teaching and learning?
We're seeing pictures now, of course. We just saw pictures of St. John's College. We had the teacher fired there earlier this week when Panyaza Lesufi intervened. Just give us a quick update on that and on the sort of hair story that's also doing the round in Kempton Park. What's happening?
Look, we were very clear at St. John that we wanted the teacher to go, and the council was given an opportunity to redeem themselves, and they did so. The teacher was then fired. But then we also raised an issue about the principal, to say we were also not happy about the conduct, in the way he tried to, justify. And we felt that it was uncalled for. And we're still waiting for the council to act on that. We will interact with them to check on the latest developments. Because anyway, the alumni of that school, they are saying they don't want the principal. And there's so many issues that were raised. I mean, the black teachers, they've got issues that they wanted to raise with us. But then we said, let them interact with the council and raise those issues there. Then when we come, we should be at the tail end and make sure that we intervene accordingly.
I even spoke to the parents of that school last night. The parents were supposed to have a meeting with the teacher, and their meeting was moved off the school campus for security reasons, and the parents were up in arms about that, saying that they felt like they were being pushed aside as well. So it seems to be many issues that you guys are going to have to come to terms with at St. John's. Let's talk quickly about hair, because I think that's the one that makes people quite uncomfortable. It's around the code of conduct at schools. how are you going to fix this? Are we going to see a standardized code of conduct for all schools in South Africa at some point?
That's where we're looking at. I mean, we are saying the code of conduct, implementation thereof should be consistent. And you cannot, when you're supposed to be implementing the code of conduct, then you introduce other things which are not in the code of conduct.
Yeah.
Hence, we felt at Windsor that let's suspend the code of conduct for 3 months. Take, learners be represented in a committee, the school and the parents, discuss and have a code of conduct that will be appealing to all.
Yeah.
But we have identified a need for us to go on a summit with especially the independent school association of Southern Africa. They have agreed to say independent schools must come, under one roof. We must discuss many issues, the code of conduct, your fees, way of operation, and all of those things. We need to raise them in that summit.
One of the important things that people want you guys to discuss with these schools and the SGBs in particular is the decolonization of education, because here in South Africa, people believe that this should stop. How do you as a department view that?
Look, we need to look at where we come from as education, and we will continue to interact with the basic education. As you will know, that policy as responsibility is the Department of Basic Education National. So we will interact with them and go back to the policies that we really feel we need to have an impact in terms of changing. There's so many things that we want to change for the better. I mean, we were saying one argument, why do you write different exams? Why do you have an independent exam and then you have your certificate exam? So we need to have one exam. That's where we're going. So in the process of making sure that we change the landscape, we change the education system of the country, we work very closely with the basic education on the school.
Steve, we're running a poll, and I want you to have a look at what the people are saying, because, these are the people that vote on our poll. They're the South Africans that are out there that are telling us what's happening. We asked a straight question. As you know, we always try and just go right for the jugular here. Are our schools a haven for insidious racism and bigotry? And we've put in insidious because it seems as if it's a very underhanded and a very hidden process that occasionally pops up in our schools, and unfortunately it's happening more and more. 82% of more than 130 voters are saying yes, our schools are a haven for racism and bigotry. How do you view that?
Look, it's quite concerning, but hence MEC will always say social cohesion must be promoted. We need to persuade. Where we must persuade, we need to continue to do that. Hence we create any platform where we're going to be interacting with the school, with all the stakeholders, and say, how do we move forward? Like, for instance, talking about the issue of feeder zones. Other schools will then use a language to say, we use Afrikaans for an example. Not any other language can be utilized. And then you use that and then you block people from entering the school environment. All those things we need to look at. The utilization of our national anthem. How many of us are singing that? Our South African flag. How many of us do have that in our school uniform?
All right, so we've been following the case in